Look at this. I got headphones on. I got a mic going. Baby.
If
Huh?
only people could see you now.
Hey, no video. We've gone through this before.
All
No video.
all right. Welcome to This Commerce Life. This is a podcast aimed at small, medium entrepreneurs focused on commerce. I'm Phil, your host, and Kenny, your co-host, will join us as well. And we're going to talk to you about the world of retail and commerce and how things are changing in the world. Hey, Laurie.
Well, there's Laurie.
Hello, gentlemen.
Well,
there she is.
hello. It is nice to
How are
see you.
Very well.
Good. And you?
Very well.
Look at you actually have headset on. Look
Oh,
at
yeah?
this.
Yeah. We got the whole thing going here.
Look at funky glasses herself, eh?
I know.
Shit,
It's awesome.
man.
It is like so past your bedtime, Phil. I don't know what you're doing up now.
No. I'm just hitting my stride now. I don't.
Phil needs coaching, Laurie. Phil needs to stay awake because Phil needs coaching. Phil needs lots of coaching.
But I kind of hit my stride now. So I've slowed down a little bit. So I used to be up till about 2, and then I'd be up at 7, and then I would go. So now I'm, midnight 1 a.m. and then I'm up at 6:30. So I added kind of half an hour to my sleep time. So
It's because you're getting old.
yeah. I think so.
I just sent an email out to my group of ladies that I coach, and had shared that we get up at Tuesdays and Thursdays at 3:45. And the backlash I got from them, I'm like, no, you don't understand. We go to bed, I go to bed at 9:30, right? So I'm still getting my 6 hours.
3:45.
45.
But you're going to bed when I'm getting up. So we could
Yes.
go back and forth on this, right? So
I could actually do that. I could call you before I go to bed.
okay.
Give you a nice wake up call, right?
Why do you get up so early?
There's a yoga class that we both like going to on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and it's at 5:30.
Oh.
No, it's at 5:30. We have to leave by 10 to 5, and then I like to read before I kind of just get centered before I go.
Where's the class in Hope? The hell are you going for 40 minutes?
I think you need to stop off and pick up Kenny along the way as well.
Oh, sure.
That is definitively not going to happen.
Be a
So we're
ray
all
of
well aware.
sunshine. You
Shit. It's 9 o'clock and I'm already pissed off that she's getting up at 3:45. How do you think I'm going to be in the morning? What the hell are you people doing?
he'd be a real ball of sunshine.
That's just not going to happen.
Oh, I love it.
I pissed and moaned last weekend because when we went to up to Edmonton, Barry and Pindy wanted a 6:30 in the morning flight. I usually go in the evenings the night before. So I do it, and I thought I got up at 4:30, left the house before 5. This is stupidity.
It always seems like a good idea. Like when you
a great thought before.
Morning, like,
until the day of.
This is it. I'm going to get up. I'm going to have a whole day. You get to the airport and you're like, what am I, an idiot? I should have gone out the night before.
That's the last time I did that. So I just booked my next one for June. Screw that. I'm going Sunday evening, sleep, get picked up in the morning at 7:30, ready to go. None of this. Oh, my God. Forget it.
Oh, man.
So I can't recover that quick anymore. I need a little sleep.
There is something to be said about that. It's funny, though, because I think it was a year and a half ago, I actually did a little bit of a study on how much sleep I needed.
Okay.
And I felt the more sleep I got, the more tired I was through the day.
I think that's probably true with most people, to be honest with you.
Yeah. So 6 hours is my golden nugget.
Yeah. I'm like that too. Every now and then I need 7 to 8, like just to recharge a little.
Agreed.
But otherwise, like 6 is like right there, right? So,
Yeah, I like 6. I could do 6.
So what are we going to talk today about, boys?
Yeah. So this Commerce Life, folks, we have Laurie Shopland on. We're very excited. She's the better half of the Shopland family. So sorry, Jimmy, we love you. Really, Jimmy, we love you. But Laurie's the brains of it all. So, and on last week's episode, we talked a lot about, when you realize that you're doing something you shouldn't be doing, how do you stop and kind of like dial out and just refocus, right? And Kenny and I kind of, Kenny, jump in as we go here, but we kind of farted around this idea and couldn't quite hammer it down.
We pretended that we actually knew something about this, and we didn't. So then we thought, we should have somebody on.
Yeah. I mean, the best advice I could give was I go to the driving range, I dial it, I do something particularly exhaustive, but that's it, right? So we felt like that was quite lacking in terms of, our audience. So we thought we'd bring someone smarter than us on and to talk about this. So maybe before we start, Laurie, do you want to introduce yourself and kind of tell them what you do and all that kind of stuff?
Sure, thanks. So Laurie Shopland, life coach, life and weight coach, and funny enough, just helping, and I work primarily with women that are looking to make changes in their life that just haven't had that confidence to click them into that motion. Okay. And it was my own journey along the way, and actually employing a life coach way before it became a thing over about 18 years ago. And our life took a total transition shift, and I needed to kind of figure out where I want to go. So it's interesting, like what you guys talked about last week is so key to so many of us, right? So anyhow, I've built a career around doing it, of helping women kind of get unstuck and actually move forward in doing that. And men, look at this, I'm helping you guys. So there you go.
Oh, we need help.
We need help. Well, we're kind of beyond help, but we're the gateway to everyone else who needs help.
There might be people who can help.
Yes.
Well, and I'm gonna go on record in saying, but actually, Kenny had some insights last week.
Oh, come on now. Are you going to do that so early in the show? He's going to be unbearable the rest of the
No. Hey, Phil, stay quiet. Laurie, please, share with us.
It was enlightening, because the methodology that I use for coaching is, and there's lots of different streams out there, but the one that I use is that it's always our thoughts that create our feelings, and our feelings create our actions. And so when I was listening to the podcast and listening to you guys, and it was, you guys were identifying, and Kenny, you identified that you were feeling anxious, right? Like, so you identified with your feeling, and then all of a sudden, and this I would just offer to all of your listeners, is that it's so common that we want to then go and change the action. We want to go feel something different, which means we're going to go do something different. You want to get yourself out of being anxious. So you, like what I call, hopped a model, and you went from feeling anxious of that thought to over here, and just created a different action. And you actually went golfing, right? So Phil, that was what your go-to action was.
Yeah.
Fine, no judgment, right? As a coach, no judgment at all. What I want to offer as a tool that I teach is that a way to identify, because not everybody can figure that out it's not always sustainable to actually go and change actions. Like, you got something in front of you, you got to do.
Yeah.
So my offer, like what I kind of coach through, is basically the nugget is, if you're not getting the results you want. So I think it was both of you had, Kenny, I think you had a pile of papers on the floor and you weren't quite sure which one to start on, right? And Phil, I can't remember where you decided to go golfing, but there was something where you weren't taking the action to get the results that you wanted, right? So backing that up, my coaching and methodology and offer to everybody is actually just even pausing in that moment and capturing what thought you're having about it. Because dollars to donuts, it's going to be something like, I can't do this, right? Or it's going to be some self-defeating thought that, as long as you're having that thought, you're going to have that whole continued feeling and non-action that you're going to be having.
Okay.
So,
okay. And then is it, so in those, so in my case, it was about taking on jobs that I didn't really love. And it was generating things that I didn't want. So, I stopped doing them. And then when I ran into something that, I realized I really didn't love doing, I recognized I need to rethink it. And that's when I would go golfing. But are there different emotions or kind of different things that, like, so if you've got anxiety, does that signal one thing? Like, does that signal, I don't really love this task? Or is it that I don't think I'm good at this task, and so it's making me anxious? And then, if you kind of spend all night, worried about something, do you know what I'm pulling at? Like, yeah.
So, and that's the fun part of just being human, that all of us have different experiences that create different emotions. Mm-hmm. So for anxious, for me, actually might be a motivating feeling for me to actually get things done off of my list. So I wouldn't necessarily pinpoint and say, oh, okay, if you're feeling X, then hop out of it. Because actually what I want and what I teach is that I actually want everyone to actually have the confidence to sit in every feeling and every emotion. Because what's happening is Kenny didn't like feeling anxious, so he jumped and he went and did something else. You didn't like feeling frustrated or bored, so you jumped to something else.
Yeah.
And that's where we can kind of feel incomplete because we're not finishing things that we have set our minds out to do. And here's the fun part is that we feel out of control because you're looking at me, what fun part? This is also fun. This is totally fun work. I love this. Is that we then are feeling that it's happening to us, right? Like this stuff is landing on us and it's making me like anxious or frustrated, when dialing it back to realize it's actually your thought about it that is creating that. So you actually, in essence, in control of the whole situation. But because of our thought work that we're doing, we're giving the power away to what actually the circumstance is, right? So let's take, for example, for yours, the job that I don't love right now.
Yeah.
So you had said the jobs that I didn't love. So when you have that thought, I'm doing something that I don't love to do, how does that make you feel?
Oh, frustrated.
Okay.
Frustrated.
When you're feeling frustrated,
yeah.
What actions do you likely take or not take?
I will either procrastinate and run away from it, do something else, or I go golfing.
Yeah.
Both of which, okay.
Either
one of those.
Right. And so then the result, so what we're just doing right now is a full-on model. Right. So the result of that is that you're actually, in essence, not getting the job done, which means you're not loving what you're doing. Well, you are loving what you're doing because you're doing something else. You're proving to yourself that you're not loving the job and the task at hand.
But I almost don't, but I'm really deferring it really, right? Because all I'm doing is putting it off. I've got to come back and do that job at some point.
Do it anyway, though, eventually.
Yeah.
And here's the fun thing is you're thinking it's the job, whatever that is, filing or accounting or whatever it is. When in fact, what's making you feel frustrated is the thought that you don't like this job that I've got to do.
I see.
Right?
Okay.
It has nothing because, so here's
not the task itself.
No, it's never the circumstance. And then because when
this is why we need Laurie on the show.
See, this is why she has to come on more often because I still don't know how I'm going to fix my things, but that's okay.
She's super smart, but you have to keep listening to this podcast.
Because basically Phil's still going golfing. I'm going to go for a walk. Because I'm glad I got my feelings all figured out. But I still don't like what I'm doing, and I'm going to walk away. It's still going to happen.
But here's the fun part is if you like your reason, right, totally fine. Like that's the whole part of us being in control of this. So here's the fun part. If you decide that going golfing is the better option for you, as long as you like your reason. But I would offer so many of us feel helpless because of the thought that we're having, but we actually don't even recognize that. We're thinking it's the task at hand, the circumstance at hand. We feel powerless. And so all of a sudden the task isn't getting done and we move on to go do something else. Well, that task never gets done. And so we're thinking, like we're associating the feeling with that task when in fact it's not. It's like, okay, well, so let's just walk through this. Like what would be a different thought that you could have about whatever this job was for you that you didn't like to do? How actually do it this way. How would you, and can you give me the job? I can't remember what it was.
I think it was just
you didn't like doing social media.
You
didn't want to do the posts and all that stuff, remember?
Okay. So that's what I'm writing down as the circumstance, right? So the social media posts. And so in order to actually get the result of it, that you actually go through to completion to get the result, how would you have to feel in order to do that?
So, I mean, in my case, I ran away, did some golfing, came back, and then really just kind of cleared my mind, and then
back to maybe like
kind of like
or something.
Grit your teeth. I mean, no, for me, it's like you kind of like need to just grit your teeth and get at it, right? Because to me, it's almost like I kind of farted my way around or squirted my way around this thing, but you realize like it's like washing toilets, right? It's just got to get done, right? So I gotta just
I'm kind of like you. I think
I got to plug my nose and get it done, right? And then the faster I get it done, I'm done with it.
So
like just own it and move on.
So when you had the thought, it's just got to get done.
Yeah.
How did that make you feel?
Determined, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah.
And when you're determined, how likely are you, or what are you likely to do or not do?
Oh no, I'm gonna get it done.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the result is it gets done.
Yeah.
Right. And you're proving your thought that it's just going to get done.
Yeah.
So I offer to you. So here's what happened is that because the circumstance didn't change. The social media still had to get done. The only difference between the result of the first option of not getting done, right, and you proving to yourself that you actually didn't love doing this work.
Yeah.
You actually, because you didn't love it anymore doing it.
Yeah.
But you changed your thought about it.
Yeah.
And the thought actually motivated you to determined to get it done.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah, I got it. Yeah.
So for Kenny, for you of having all of your piles and you felt anxious.
Just get anxious. I just don't like looking at them.
Right. And I'm going to pick on you because,
Okay, go ahead. Everybody else does. I got thick skin.
Here's the fun part is that like so many of my clients, and I actually work with a number of women that are actually how our paths have aligned, are actually facing cancer treatment. And so for them, fear is, anxious and fear are two of their biggest feelings. And yet they have to go through the task in order to get the treatment that they need to get.
Right.
So here's for you I pepper you with a question of like, what's so bad about feeling anxious? Like you can overcome it. You can actually sit in it to know you can handle it. But sometimes I would offer, we actually don't like the feeling. So we go to jump and feel something different. And so we totally go and have a different thought and a different result entirely. And I just want to offer, imagine if we actually, and this is the work that I do, of building people up confident enough to say, okay, you can sit in anxious. You can sit there, right? Sit there for a minute and know and build that confidence that, okay, when I'm feeling this, it's only simply called on by a thought. And I can totally handle this. And then I actually have the power to change the thought to redirect.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense. I mean, running away is sort of just, it's just a reaction to it and whatever. I mean, I'll get back to it.
Yeah.
And I do what Phil does. I just sit down and just plow through it, right? Because it's got to get done. It's not going to go anywhere.
Right.
So may as well bury it.
You had a different thought about it, right?
Yeah.
So can you remember going back to what was the thought that was causing you to feel anxious?
Oh, are you kidding me? I can't remember 20 minutes ago. What are you talking about? That's the beauty of being a man too. Like I was here, there's not a lot of stuff going on upstairs. Kidding, come on. I could have been hungry for all I remember. And then I just got anxious that paperwork was impeding my path to the fridge or something.
Yeah.
I have a question.
Yeah.
I have a question. So whatever the emotion is, the emotion that you're getting, whether it's anxiety, frustration, any of those things, is it healthy to do what we're doing and walk away and then come back, or is it better? Is there kind of a straight answer on this?
Does it matter?
Like, yeah,
we were doing
you know what I mean? Like, so both of us.
So we know the feeling.
Yeah.
We just choose to deal with it. We choose to ignore the feeling.
We both choose to run away and then come back. But is it healthy? Like, so when I'm writing content, right? Like when I'm blog writing or whatever, it's helpful for me to do something else, like to start the process about thinking about the topic I want and then go away and do something else, right? Because my mind, the writer part of me is a subconscious thing. I've got to be able to work through the topics to create the content I want. Yeah. But I don't know if this is the same. Do you know what I mean? Like, is it the same process or Well,
I'd say you're getting the results that you want. And actually in all of your cases, you're getting the results you want and you're just changing the model and going and taking an action.
Yeah.
But for you, and I would say, as long as you like your reasons, as long as it's working for you. Okay. But let's say in situations where, and actually one of the things you talked about of, we talked about how we kind of hold ourselves back. So let's talk about fear and talk about some of our clients that maybe want to go in and actually have to sell their products into somewhere, go talk to, a head office or something like that, or wherever that is. that fear, if the result is they're never able to get through that door because they're never able to overcome that feeling, right? That's where I want to say, we can run away from it all you want, but if you're never actually getting to the result that you want to do, then this is where you've got to pause. And you can keep jumping models, but if you never get to the crux of what thought am I having? And because so many of my clients go, well, I'll just have, it'll be better tomorrow. And I'll just put that, how many of us actually move something we don't want to do on our calendar and put it to the next day and to the next day? If we haven't changed our thought, and if it's a thought that's causing us to feel defeated, it ain't going to get done, my friend.
Right. Yeah.
Right? It's just going to keep getting kicked down the can.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying of so, and here's the fun thing is we've got clients that actually don't want to, they're afraid that they're not going to take their product. And so they're just not going to make the phone call. So we just call that they're failing ahead of time, right? They're afraid of failure. They're just choosing to select failure early.
Yeah.
Right? Instead of what would it look like for you to push through, to sit in failure, to just go, okay, what would that feel like? Well, it's actually a sensation in my body. It's not comfortable, but I can do it, and I'm going to pick up the phone call.
You got to learn from it. Yeah.
And I guess worst case, you fail.
Yeah, but you're already failing by not calling and getting your product.
Yeah, you were going to fail anyway because your reaction to do nothing.
At least now it's a legit failure, right? Like,
yeah. At least you gave it a shot.
And see, that's where the interesting thing is that I would offer that so many of us actually are giving that circumstance is what's making me feel failure, and so it's out there when in fact we're creating it by the thought that we're having. So we're creating that failure by not wanting to feel failure, but you're already feeling it by not getting your product out onto the store shelves.
I got it. Okay.
Yeah. Right?
Okay. Cool.
Okay. Yeah, I get that.
One thing in here though, your version of fun is definitely different than our version.
I'm not finding the fun.
You keep saying, here's the fun part of this.
And I'm waiting for it. And then she talks, and then she pauses.
She said she was going to say something fun.
And then I don't want to be embarrassed to say, Phil, did you hear it? Because I missed it.
No.
Okay, it's not just me.
Yeah.
Okay. I was waiting. I thought it'd be like a prize.
It is so fun because it's just seeing people just take off that. For so many of us, we give our, we think that things are happening to us. And so it holds us back in actually stepping out into all of the greatness that we can do. Right. And so you think of all of the people listening that have their products and their ideas and everything else are going out there, that they stop themselves from doing that because they're afraid to feel an emotion, anxiety, fear, failure, sadness, whatever that is. And it's like, oh, if you could learn to actually, that it's just a vibration in your body. Oh my God, it's limitless as to what you can go do. And that's the fun part because I actually get to witness transformation like that.
Yeah, we stopped doing videos on this, but if you could see her, Laurie's got this, like, she's just kind of like glowing right now.
She's all excited and glowing. Phil and I are thinking,
she's kind of like turned both of us from pretzels into, she's kind of unraveling us as we go. So it's pretty awesome though. But no, that's really insightful. I think that, like what I think we think is really helpful here because we have, Kenny and I kind of live unusual lives, and it allows us to be able to walk away and do what we want when we want. So that pile of papers, the social media, it gets done, but we're allowed to go away and
I don't have to deal with it at that moment, right?
Yeah. I can call Kenny and procrastinate for a little bit longer.
Go for a walk, hit a bucket of balls, whatever you want to do, right?
But we have a lot of listeners, I think, that you don't always have that luxury, right? Like you just gotta, you got
no choice.
How to power through, right? Because
your store's open 9 till 5.
Yeah.
Right. You can't just, you can't do it at midnight.
Yeah. Okay, but here's a nugget for you.
Here's the fun part. Wait,
here's the fun part.
On, guys, it's coming.
Okay.
Phil and I might miss it, but it's coming.
It's coming.
So Kenny just said, like, there's no choice, right? Yeah. But what if that wasn't true? Because how does that make us feel when we feel powerless? Well, I'm already giving it away. When we feel we have no choice, we feel powerless. And so what do we do when we feel powerless is, right, I just kind of motion that it goes, it's a downward spiral, right? You're not motivated to go do anything when you're feeling totally defeated and powerless. So here's the fun part is, contrary to belief, you know what? Our store owners, they don't actually have to open. They don't.
I guess it's your choices. You don't really, I mean, if you don't want to open tomorrow, you could take the day off.
Yes, right? But they actually want to make an income. They want to do this because they have desires to go and pay a mortgage and to put their kids in school and all of this other stuff. But when we start to have those thoughts that I don't have a choice, and it's whether a store owner or somebody,
yeah, I guess that's true,
paying taxes, you don't actually have to pay your taxes. There'll be a consequence for it. They may come take away your house, right? But but when we have that mindset that you actually have to do something or should do something, then you come at it from a completely different, and you get resentful, and it's probably not your best work. Like, you just run this model down as to how you show up in the world. Right. So I just offer, as soon as we start to have that, like, actually, I totally have a choice. I don't have to go to work. I could be homeless. Totally. Right? Totally.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I guess you could. You should never think of it that way, though, right? You don't usually take it to those extremes, but I guess you're sort of right. Like, I mean, really, even if you woke up tomorrow morning, like, and you just didn't feel like working, I mean, really, you don't have to work. Like, you could take the day off. Like you said, that might be a consequence, but doesn't, I mean, whatever. Yeah. It's still within your rights and powers as a human to just.
Well, I just offer, when we get to that place of that feeling of have tos, should tos, and having no choice, I mean, run a model. How does that make you feel? And then what actions are you taking from that place? Right? And so, and what kind of even quality of life are you living if you're always feeling like under something, rather than saying, I totally have a choice. And actually, I want to open my store tomorrow, right? Like, then you get into
people
it.
Don't do that, Laurie. I mean,
that's why they need a life coach.
That's why there's life coaches are required. If you think about it, think of how many people you know that literally dread work the next day.
Yeah.
And I look at it and think, shit, man, why are you getting up?
Yeah.
Like, holy moly, if it's that bad, like, my God, do anything else.
Yeah.
Like, seriously, why bother? I mean, why would you do that?
I would do it one step farther. You think of the number of people. So Kenny and I do this a lot. I would imagine you run into the same sort of folks, but Kenny and I talk about this all the time, right? So if you're kind of in your late 40s, early 50s,
it's the perfect time for the rut.
Yeah, I mean, right now the industry that's going through this the most is kind of packaged goods, right? If you're a middle manager of some sort, you're kind of hanging on to your job because you're worried about getting fired or getting packaged out and then just being too old for another job, right? But it's almost like, where we started as a task, I think Laurie's advice really applies here to your life, right? Like, if you're worried, because I don't even know how many guys people that I've seen in their kind of like early 50s where they dread going to work, they don't really want to do it, but they also dread, gosh, like, I'm a couple of years away from retirement. If I just hide long enough in big corporations, hang on, I can get there, and then life is better, right? But I think what Kenny and I both said is kind of what your coaching is. Look, like, you have the power to change that, right? Like, you really should be thinking.
Well, I think that's what we both did, though. So, like, leaving a job at 50 with really no plan, but just because, you know what, you just knew it was time.
Yeah.
That's great if you can do it.
Yeah.
Lucky I have Amelia, who, my God, thank God, lets me do stupid things periodically. Like, and knows that, okay, it's probably the right decision, because if he's not happy, what's the point? You get one crack.
No, if he's not happy, he's going to be miserable at home.
Well, then you're not happy. You're not happy anyway. Yeah. Right?
Here's the fun part is I coach women through all of these transitions that they're making, and they're leaving their corporate job to go back to school and make that investment and everything else. And it's like, well, what if that's the wrong decision? And I'm like,
I guess you don't know till you try.
Well, here's the thing, though. You get to decide that.
Exactly.
Right? So imagine, how do you show up? If you constantly are second guessing that it's the wrong decision, you're going to find data to support that. But if you go in and going, this is the best damn decision that I've ever made, you actually show up that way. Again, that's your thought. How are you feeling? Totally confident. How are you going to show up? I'm going to rock this. Right. Yeah. And then it's fascinating, study after study, that you show when somebody's actually not second guessing themselves and they believe in themselves, it just keeps moving forward.
Yeah, that's a cool one. I guess I go about it slightly different, but people ask me that too. Like, what happens if the right? I'm like, you know what, dude, you're never going to make the right decision, right? But it doesn't mean that when you get there, you've opened a whole new set of doors, right? Like you're still a rational human being with, you know, kind of lots of good logical thoughts along the way. So even if you pick the wrong course, you open all these doors that helps you, you know, you have skills to recognize. Yeah, you have skills to recognize
so
what's
you go back
next,
to work.
Yeah.
I mean, really, at the end of the day, it's not, you know.
Yeah.
Well, and that's, I mean, we work with a lot of entrepreneurs, right? And for my husband and I both being entrepreneurs to do that, it's that decision of you get to decide. And then if you get to decide to go back and do something else, I'm choosing it wasn't a mistake. This is exactly where I need to be doing right as of today, right? And then you build that on. But if you've got people that are in jobs, if their choice is that they feel like they have no choice, they could totally actually make that shift, and it would be no less different because they would be scared over there as they're scared where they are, right?
I think it's that first jump though, Laura. I mean, I've had so many people, like, I mean, I know, you know, we all know a lot of people, they're just so unhappy, right? And and I'm, you know, and I'm usually telling, come on, I said, guys, listen, I mean, I can just tell you from experience, it's a big world out there, man.
Yeah.
There's a lot of cool shit going on in the world. Like you just got to go look for it. It's not, and sometimes it's not even that hard to find, but I get it. I mean, I get fear. I mean, we all have it.
Yeah.
There's things that you just kind of freaked out to do.
Yeah.
So here's one of my favorite quotes from my own coach is discomfort is the currency to our dreams, right? In order to get uncomfortable, right? The more comfortable you are to be uncomfortable, the more you're going to keep
more things happen, and the more things, I think more cool things can happen, right? That's a good point. Yeah. It's just tough. I mean, I don't know if it's like, I don't know if it's generational or not, because we're probably still on the tail end of that one where, you know, it's like 3 careers in a lifetime is a lot, you know, because the one before us, like it was 1, maybe 2, and 2, there was a mistake somewhere in there. Something went sideways. Now it's like, you know, 50.
Yeah.
Like every second week, they seem to be doing something. Something a little too extreme, but you know what I mean? Like, I guess it's kind of cool that they're not, like, the younger ones just aren't as scared to.
No, because they are used to that, right? They're used to the flexibility of it. And that I would offer, the only reason they're used to it is because the thoughts they have about it, it's not so scary because they've done this before.
Yeah. Right? I guess it's just taking that first.
Yeah.
You know, I think about it. At 49, I was scared shitless. At 50, same. And now at 53, I'm thinking, what an idiot, man. I should have done that like at 40. I mean, I'm glad I didn't, because I learned a lot of things and yada, yada, yada. But you know what I mean? Like, you go back and you think, for what? Like, what the hell was I so scared of?
Yeah. Well, and so much. I mean, there's a whole nother podcast on the scarcity mindset. I mean, how many of your listeners are, even when they're producing their products or getting it out to market, are doing it from a scared mentality rather than an abundance mentality? I mean, that's a whole nother thing. So people are staying where they are because they're afraid of that nothing's going to be bigger. And yet I would offer stepping out to myself, like, things just, when that mind shift happens, then it just opens up for that, because you're looking for it. There's something called confirmation bias. So your brain actually goes, whatever you're thinking, the brain's going to go to confirm it, because that's what the brain.
That's human nature. I think that's the animal, right?
Yeah.
Validate
it's the brain. Yeah. So if you're thinking, this is the only job that I can find, this is the only job I'm qualified, it's going to find excuse, like, or example and evidence to support that.
Yeah. Or you'll do things.
The brain to say, and that's what working with a coach is, peppering you with questions of, like, what if that wasn't true? Like, what are the possibilities? Your brain actually starts to go to work and looks for answers to that. Yeah.
No, that I totally get, because I've got people, well, you know, I'm scared, I can't do anything else. And then they'll do, you know, thinking, well, yeah, I know, okay, let's say you're a pipe fitter. Yeah. Applying for that job to be an astronaut was probably a little bit of a stretch. So yeah, you know, that wasn't going to work. I'm going to give you that one. But, you know, applying to be that electrician might not have been so far out in left field.
Yeah.
Couple of the skill sets, you know, it's kind of in the wheelhouse. Like, it's, you know, you got to put it in perspective. You're not going to go from a plumber to a surgeon.
Yeah.
Or, you know, us to surgeons. It just doesn't happen. But, you know, you can find stuff that you know you can do. And pretty soon you start mapping them out. And you're thinking, man, I can do a lot of different things.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah, I guess, I don't know. Sometimes I just wonder if it is that fear that just holds you back.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Or the anxiety or whatever it is. Right.
And it's so interesting, because you think of any of those examples that you're talking about, is they're just choosing to feel failure first.
Well,
right?
exactly, because it validates what you're thinking. I can't do anything else. You're thinking, yeah, you can't do that. I mean, not many people can. I mean, let's put it, pick a little easier one maybe, or something that's kind of, give yourself a little boost of confidence.
Yeah. No, it's so fun. Like, sorry guys, this is.
No, I love it.
No, it's good though, but it's good to talk about, because I think a lot of times, maybe Phil, maybe a lot of it's even just subconscious, or we just, I don't know, maybe this the way we deal with it is the way we deal with it. I like Laurie better.
Like you reasoned, and you're ending getting the result done. But you're right, guys. You've got so many listeners that don't have the option to do it. Actually have to, within their moments, come over fear or anxiety, and they got to figure this out.
Yeah.
So my tool to them is to take a pause, like you had said, and if they can't actually go deviate from it, then just figure out what the thought is that's motivating them to feel that way.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
And then they know they're in control of that, saying, okay, this thought is making me feel this way. How can I actually how do I need to feel in order to complete the task? Then what thought do I need to have in order to feel, right? Yeah. Successful, confident to be able to do it.
Yeah.
It still comes down to it. They still have a choice, right?
Yeah.
Like I chose to get up and do something else, and then I chose, I guess, to go back. I just don't think of what I'm doing.
I
you know what I mean? Like I know what I'm feeling, but I'm, and I think maybe if we got better at probably just articulating it, or just thinking, as opposed to just automatically doing something else, and then you end up back there. You're not too sure why you ended up back there, but you got to get done. So you're going to get it done, and you get yourself all wound up and say, okay, let's just go. Come on, let's go. Let's just do it.
But so I was after that, because I think sometimes you really do. Sometimes you just need a second to refocus. Right? Like it might be that, like, so
maybe you just need to be aware of that though. Like,
it's,
instead of just walking away, like say to yourself, okay, I'm walking away. You know why? Because right now I just feel shitty doing this.
Well,
whatever that means. And I'm just going to walk away for a minute, and I'm going to just collect my thoughts.
Like taxes is a perfect example, right? Exactly. Both of us are not, we don't like tax form. I don't like tax forms, right? But
I don't do them. I give it to Amelia.
Like the net effect of tax forms is like, you open that page and there's all these fields. There's the blue. In Canada we have blue forms with like white fields, and the minute you open it, it's overwhelming, right? You just go like,
totally.
Oh my God, they're asking like these crazy questions. I don't understand. Like but and so sometimes you do, because that first emotion, I think, right? If I've heard Laurie right, is that first emotion is like, oh shit, like I can't do this, or I feel really anxious, and oh my gosh, right? But really, it's just like, it's the, like if I back away and I run away and I come back, the only thing that's changed, the tax form is the same, right? But all I've done is I've approached it differently, and I've said, I'm going to answer question 1, right? Fuck it. If I can't answer all 15 questions, I'll answer question 1. And then I'll do question 2, right? And then by question 13, I'm like, you can kiss my ass. I'm done with you, right? Like, so when I'm done, you're out of here, right? Like, so I think that's the thing, right? Is like the backing out, to me, is like, it would take a long time to do taxes if I went and hit a bucket of balls for every question.
Yeah.
But it's almost like you got to figure out what your bucket of balls is, right? So if that's just, I'm going to go get a coffee and just dial back out, wash away that anxiety and come back and do it, right? I think that's what I'm pulling at, is like, and
you nailed it, because Coach Phil, because you actually caught that it was the thought that you were having that was making you feel overwhelmed. So simply, and it's so interesting, I do a whole presentation on overwhelm, because that is one, like 100% of us feel most of the time, is that the one nugget to get out of overwhelm is to pick one thing. So even looking at that, okay, I know my name. I can fill that out. And it takes you from overwhelm, because you finally say, oh, I know that. And it gives you a different feeling. Right? So every time you're in overwhelm, it's like, okay, what's one thing that I can do? What's the next?
Go get Amelia.
I say that, right? Because Kathy's an accountant too. So.
Yeah, that's my solution.
Here, honey.
And
I'll make you a coffee. Love you.
I'm just going to try to convince her that this is going to be good for me if we can do this together.
See, Kathy actually asked me that once. She said, are you afraid I'm defrauding? Like what happens if I use your, and I go, it's okay. It's a white collar crime, right? So I'll probably get more golf in prison. I think.
Oh yeah, you'll get total golf games in.
right? You get to watch the 3 kids while I go to prison. Like it's okay, right? And she's like, oh, this worked very well. Like, oh, I got this figured out. So yeah. But okay, that makes sense to me. So
Okay.
so I have questions for you.
Sure.
From a, we kind of went from like tasks that makes us anxious to almost careers. If you're someone who, because we do have folks like this who get anxious at, late 40s, early 50s, do you typically find, with coaches that it's better to get a coach kind of before you go and make those jumps? So if I'm a guy who, if I didn't quit corporate life, right now I would be, I'm turning 47 this year, right? I'd be a senior manager, kind of in this global conglomerate business, right? Kind of worried about like, oh crap, I make good money, I've got a car, all this kind of stuff, but I'm, holiday benefits, blah, 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 blah. I'm going to lose my job, right? Like this is the year I'm pretty sure I'm going to lose my cuts. I'm going to hide away. Getting a coach, is it better to kind of, as soon as you start to recognize those anxious moments in you, can a coach kind of help you figure that out? Like, where's the limits of coaching, right? Like, do you kind of help people figure out, like, what am I supposed to be when I grow up? Or is it more about, what skills do you, what skills do you have that you can try and figure out, to go away and leverage? Do you know what I mean?
No, great question. Yeah. Great question. I think my first answer to that would be something probably 50 years ago. Nobody ever considered how important it was for us to go to the gym and get healthy, right? Like a gym membership, hiring a personal coach was never thought of, right? And since then, technology, science has proved how important our health is to us for the longevity and everything else. We are at that point now of understanding of how important our mind is and our thought and the power of our mind. So I truly believe in probably 10 years that everyone will now, oh yeah, who's your life coach? Oh, okay, who's your life coach? Because it's going to be something that it becomes a maintenance program to actually start to, this is the most ingenious tool, equipment, whatever, machine that we have available to us. And yet we spend little to no energy actually managing it and understanding it. And it steers us, as we've seen in this whole podcast, it steers us to actually take actions or not take actions, right? To the quality of our life. So my thought is, I think right now people are just getting used to it. So they go for a coach for almost crisis management of like, I'm feeling this, there's a pivotal moment. And that's how it was for me, a transition, and I need this. But since working with my coach 18 years ago, I have continued to, right? Because I've just seen the benefits and then the possibilities of my own management of my mindset to be able to go, oh, okay, well, if that's possible, right? Like if that's possible, and all the way through it. So, and there's different specialties of coaches, right? That can help you in different areas of it. So there's definitely career, there's, oh my goodness, as I said, like I do weight, I also, my whole program would work for non-drinking as well. If you actually wanted to alleviate, and Kenny's going, why would they want to do that? Why would they want to stop drinking?
I stop this.
That's just crazy talk. I mean,
that's just crazy talk.
That's back to this fun thing that we're all waiting for, Phil. Sure, Laurie.
Yes, and people actually pay money for that, believe it or not. But there's a coach really for every, like any aspect of it. But I would say right now, probably for most of your listeners, and just knowing sort of the genre, it would be when I left my corporate job to go into this full time, I employed my coach full time a year out because I knew the transition. I was in government politics that I needed to sort of make a plan and be able to do that.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think it is relevant to it's a lot of this age group, obviously.
It's highly relevant.
I mean, we're the ones going through, well, we're just in that spot.
Yeah.
Where our parents would have just plowed through, got to 65, prayed to God that they'd live longer, than that and actually enjoyed life. We're all thinking, no, this has got to happen earlier. And I got to be able to drive this, but can I do it?
And how many of us actually have evidence of our parents then working to 65 and dying at 66.
There's tons of that one. We've
so
all
that's,
those.
I think that's why we're now seeing this pushback.
Totally.
We're saying we have to, like this isn't working anymore. We're seeing it already, the writing on the road. So we're starting to go, okay, and is it? And the interesting thing is then we tend to think that it has to be one way or another, and that there's one that's actually the golden goose and one that isn't. And it's like, oh, and again, what if that wasn't true? What if actually there's like 10 golden goose options out there? Right? Like, oh my God, it's so exciting to be able to go out there.
And I think that's what Phil and I probably do, and I'm sure you do as well. And so does Jimmy in that way, because we all had those fears before you do something or leave, right? Whether you had a coach for a year or not.
Yeah.
That just means you might be a little bit more prepared, but you still don't know what's going to happen.
Mm-mm.
But you're still willing to take the chance, and you're still willing to say, you know what, I'm going to do this, because the worst case scenario really, one, isn't that bad. And you know what? If anything, I'll bounce back. And then once you start going out there, you think, man, seriously, it's a big, beautiful world out there, man. There's a lot of cool stuff going on. You just got to look for it, right? And if you look for it, you see it. If you choose not to look for it, guess what?
You would almost say
Coach Kenny, Coach Phil. Oh my God. You're making me so happy here, guys.
Or it's like 5 minutes at a time. 5 minutes at a time, my dear. 5 minutes at a time.
I would almost say that you don't even need to look for it. Like, even if you've got anxious mode, I think if you hustle, it comes to you, right? Like, I don't even know how many times on this show where you kind of go, you know, I've just been working at it. It doesn't feel like it, right? Week to week. And then all of a sudden you're like, I don't know what happened. Like, it all just showed up. And it's not. It's because we did the work, right? Like, it's kind of like doing the tax return. You do a line by line, and the tax return comes back. It just takes a little bit of time to come back, right? So,
and it's like the second time you do the tax return, line 1 is still the same. Line 2 is. It's line 16 now that's different, but you killed the front 15.
Well, hopefully line 16
doesn't feel that bad
right?
anymore, right? Yeah. Like I said, I don't know, because I don't do that. I defer.
Yeah.
Smart.
I love it. I'm so glad you joined us.
I'm glad we did this.
Yeah.
Oh, well, thank you. I love it. And I will talk anytime. I'm free at 3:45 in the morning.
Yeah.
I love it.
For you.
Well, we can.
That's good for you and Phil, and I hope you guys enjoy yourselves. Please do record and make sure we post. And if you want, I can record something, or you can just drop in, I don't know, hello or hi or whatever I'm going to do. But that's not going to happen. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you, my friend.
I'll understand it. Yeah, back to the fun part. Not seeing the fun in that one, but that's okay. All good. Whatever makes you happy, Laurie. It's all good.
Oh my God.
Awesome.
I love it. Laurie, thank you for joining us.
That was awesome. Thank you.
Pleasure.
Yeah, we really appreciate it. If people want to find you, so Laurie and her husband Jim do a pretty wicked podcast. They are super smart at what they do. Do you want to tell people where they can find you? You guys should subscribe to her podcast, the whole bit. So yeah,
all of it.
Okay. The plug. Shopland Health, and husband and wife team. And you got it right last time. It's real and raw. So we talk about being entrepreneurs together. I help coach our clients, and Jim brings his retail expertise to it for the natural product world. And so I pepper him with questions, and when he lets me, I kind of coach him on the spot some of the times, kind of like you guys. And it's a fun little podcast that we've got going as well. So lots of fun over there. And then Laurie Shopland Coaching is my full-on coaching business that I do as well.
So .com.ca, what are we doing?
So Laurie Shopland, LaurieShoplandCoaching.com.
Okay.
LAURIE Shopland.com. Got to remember, people need to listen, Laurie. I need a little more help than that, right?
There we go.
You should check out the podcast. Make sure you subscribe to their podcast as well.
Yeah,
I like when you give Jimmy coaching and Jimmy kind of goes, huh? Say that again? Because usually when he does that is when I'm going, huh?
Well, I usually done the same huh, and I think, okay, thank God that wasn't me. That wasn't just me.
Then I'm like,
Already did a fun part in there that we all missed.
Right about the same point I did. Right? I was like, oh, okay.
Okay. It's just, you know what? It validates us again, Phil.
Yeah, there you go.
Not just us.
Well, I think it confirms that we're on the same level with Jimmy. Right? Laurie's like a whole nother level above us, right?
But we knew that anyway. I don't need confirmation, like perpetual confirmation makes me feel anxious.
There's nothing wrong with that. You can sit in that.
Yeah.
Oh, I haven't. I've moved on. All good enough.
I think the last plug I would give is, as you subscribe to Jim and Laurie's podcast as well as, like I think about a year ago, right? I met you, like about a year ago, right? And you guys were just starting what you do now. And so if you're talking about leaps and trying to figure out what's there, Jim and Laurie were both like, we got to do this, but we, like the first podcast, like every episode was a little bit different because you were changing, iterating as you went. And look at where you guys are now, right? So, if we've got listeners that are jumping in, this is what it's like, right? Is you can actually watch them do it. If you go back and listen to all the episodes, you'll
please don't go back to number 1 and 2.
No, come on. They were good. They were really good.
Shows learn.
They were good.
And it shows people, like all of us, you know what? The first ones didn't sound that bad when they were the first ones. But by the 50th one, they don't sound as good as they could have. But it's all learning, right?
Yeah, totally.
Perseverance. Don't give up.
Yeah.
Just keep plugging. Plugging.
Look at who's coaching the coach. I love it. Look at this.
Come on, Laurie. It's all relative to where it was.
Oh, man.
Awesome. And I hear, are you going to be in town with your family?
I am. I'm going to be in for 2.5 days.
Is that it? Okay.
Yeah, I know. It's all we could muster. And it's funny because we're doing this cruise with my mom, but I'm really excited about the Vancouver part. Not the cruise part. The cruise part, my mom kind of owns it, right? But the Vancouver part, the kids are like, Dad, you're really excited. I'm like, oh yeah, because we're not going to sleep. We're going to do all these things.
Oh yeah,
fun, right? What the hell?
Yeah.
The cruise, you're going to be the youngest people in that boat.
Yeah, we're going to be the youngest by far. Far.
Just so you're aware of that, right? Like if you're staying up to midnight, 1 o'clock, it's just you and the janitors.
Pretty much,
There's not many people left.
Yeah.
All good.
Yay. Thank you for joining us.
That's awesome. Thanks.
All right.
I appreciate it.
Oh, you're so welcome. Good to see you both. All right. Say hi to Kathy for me and Amelia when I get to meet her.
Will do.
Okay.
Ciao.
Okay. Bye, guys.
Take care.
Ciao.
And yeah.
All right. That's the end of this Commerce Life. We'll be back soon with the next episode. Thank you for joining us. We hope you enjoyed it. Give us feedback. Tell us what you think. Subscribe, like us, join us, share us, tell your friends about us. And we hope to see you next time with more commerce news.